Hey folks, in this video, we're going to talk about my personal experience of dealing with the healthcare system here in Portugal. And if you want to hear more about a variety of people's experience, feel free to join me live tomorrow, where I will be joined with three other women who've had either surgery or had a baby or had something replaced here in Portugal, and you get to hear our experiences. But on this video, I just wanted to share my experience so that I wouldn't take up so much time tomorrow. So I'll put the link in the description if you're interested in joining us live, or if you see this video later, you will be able to see the recording. So my experience. So again, I'm from Washington, D.C., United States immigrant living in Portugal. I apparently have a autoimmune disease that I didn't know I had until I moved to Portugal. So fun fact. So basically what happened was, the world had the global shutdown, and I had been in Portugal for 8 months. I went to the States for the summer I think I was there for two months. And I honestly think from eating the food here and then getting the food in the US and have eating non-processed foods for so long that it triggered my autoimmune disease. So I have an autoimmune disease that's like similar to Crohn's disease, and apparently I inherited it. Didn't know that. And I had issues in my 20s. I've been going to doctors for 20 years for someone to tell me what's wrong with me in the States. So I think I initially had some issues like in my 20s, but I was eating certified trash in my 20s. I was just eating whatever. And I think my late 20s, early 30s is when I started taking what I ate more seriously. So I hadn't had any issues for well over a decade. And again, when I was in Portugal for 8 months and then I went back to the States, my whole intestines was like, what? So I was having all types of scary symptoms. I did not know what was wrong with me. I was scaring my friends. I would go to doctors. So again, because my autoimmune disease is similar to Crohn's disease, that it's all like in my gut, and I've had cameras down my throat, the other way around, everywhere. Cameras probing just to see what is going on in my gut, my stomach, and everything. So I've had a colonoscopy when I was in my 20s, and the doctor, I still remember this vividly. The doctor told me, "Oh, we don't see anything wrong. There's some inflammation, but everything's okay." Maybe it's because I was in my 20s and they didn't care. So again, now fast forward another 20 years. And so that's just my history on the medical care that I had received in the States, of still not knowing what was happening. So when I did have this flare up, I was in the States. It was the last medical appointment I had made in the US. And again, I had gotten another colonoscopy done. And she was like, again, I see some inflammation. You could have Crohn's disease. You could have IBS. You could have a whole bunch of other things. No diagnosis, right? For 20 years. So here's the thing that I'm going to give you some information that'll hopefully help you as you're trying to get your doctors and things in Portugal. So as a US immigrant, I'm required to get pay for private healthcare insurance, right? Because of course, if people come to the country, anyone's country, you don't want immigrants to be such a burden on the healthcare system that it doesn't function anymore. So as a U.S. immigrant, I have to pay for private insurance, which I've done. It was required on my visa. I still didn't really know how to use it. Okay, so I've had some friends who's had surgery here, and I asked them, like, where do I even begin? Do I need to have a primary care physician? What do I have to do? So in the States, unless you have a PPO, you have to go to your primary health physician first before you can go see a specialist. So recommendation, Jamila, who you'll meet tomorrow, she said, because you have a specific issue that you're trying to figure out, look for that doctor first. The way I looked for that doctor is Google. Everything, if you know me, Google's gonna be your first place, okay? So I Googled gastrointernalist doctors, that type of thing. And I think I researched for hours just trying to first determine which hospital in Portugal was best suited for it, and then what doctor was highly recommended for it. And so I found this one doctor, and he received all these raving online reviews. Now, because I'm in Portugal, some of the reviews obviously are in Portuguese, right? So make sure you got your translator there so that you can kind of figure that out. So this doctor had rave reviews. I set an appointment. It took me about a month to get the appointment. It could be because it was the summer. I had my appointment during the summer. Got my appointment. So this is the experience going to the doctor. This might be, it's not, I'm gonna try to make it as PG as it possibly can be. All right. So I go to the doctor, who's very nice, by the way. And so I'm speaking with him. He speaks English. The staff, I think one person kind of spoke a little bit of English. So, and again, I don't expect anybody to speak English. I'm in somebody else's country. I need a little language. I get that. So still working on it, right? So some of the things we were able to have like broken conversations based on, the Portuguese that I know. And so I'm speaking with the doctor and he's like, what are your symptoms? And I'm talking to him, telling him my history from the States. And then he said, okay, so we can do this, and that. And I'm like, okay, oh, that sounds good. So you typically in the States, you go to your doctor and you talk to him about your symptoms and then he tells you what can be done. And then you go do all that another day or sometimes months later, right? So I was not anticipating that he meant that we were going to do all these oscopies and situations right now. So he puts out all this stuff and he's like, okay, so we can do this, and that. And he goes, you ready? And I go, I'm sorry, what? You want to go in my body like right now? Oh, God. So that is exactly what happened. I immediately go in the room next door, and it's all these people. We're taking off my clothes, stuff like machines and cords are coming out, and I'm like, oh hell! And I'm the type of person who wants to be put to sleep for you to clean my teeth. Like if there's a reason to put me under anesthesia, I want to be under it. I don't want to feel nothing. I don't want to know what's going on. None of that, right? No, I was awake, and things happened so quickly, and I can laugh about it now. But when it was happening, I wasn't ready. You know how, like, because we have such a large gap between when we see the doctor and when they're actually going to do something, I think you can mentally get your brain ready for what is getting ready to go down. I ain't had that opportunity. So if you go to the doctor for a specific reason, anticipate that it may be fixed that day. Not that that's a bad thing. It's just not at all what I'm used to. So I wasn't ready. So we go all up and through there, and he does what he has to do, puts my insides on the camera. Sorry, but that's the kind of conversation we have, and we having a real conversation. So he puts my insides on the camera, tells me to look, does the biopsy, in which I feel it at that moment, and I'm like, what is happening? Why am I awake? So go through the whole spiel. It's over, and I'm like, what do I do now? She's like, oh, you can go back in there and talk to the doctor. I'm like, I can't go in there and talk to him. I can't look him in his face after we just went through all that together. So I go back in there, and he's like, flat out, in less than 45 minutes, this man was able to tell me what was wrong with me. He specifically said, you have this, And I was like, well, what is that? And he's like, it's like a cousin of Crohn's disease. You got to, it's hereditary. Sometimes you're going to have issues. Sometimes you're not. You got this for the rest of your life. What he did tell me is in Portugal, in regards to the medical system, if you have a chronic disease, that something is done with the drugs to not make them so expensive, because you're going to have to take this for the rest of your life, right? I know I didn't explain that well, but that's just what he told me, and that's what I remember. So go figure. So that's what he explained to me. So he was telling me this series of medications and things that I would probably have to take, every other day, every day. It just really depends on what's going on. He says it has nothing to do with diet, but even as it relates to Crohn's, I mean, there's a diet you can have to make it less traumatic. So I plan on going that health route and figuring it out. Plus, now I need a doctor to go in through my throat and see. Anyway, so that is my experience. So he told me what I had. He gave me a chart on the degree in which it was. So he was like, this is good, this is medium, this is bad. He's like, you're not at bad, you're at medium. So that was super helpful. And he was just, everything was over in like an hour and a half. And now I know what's wrong with me, the medications I need, and that type of thing. So that was my experience. I will say, if you were going for something 9 times out of 10, just be expected that something you can get it fixed like right now. Okay. Um, Also, as it relates to the medication I have to take. So let me tell you about the procedure. So I think the consultation part was about $60. Hold on. Actually, I have the bill. Okay, so I actually have the bill here as to what I had done, so I can tell you pricing. So I had, oh, it's in Portuguese. I had a form of a colonoscopy, but not the, huh. I feel like there's two types of oscopies that go that way, right? And one's when they go, I think back home it's called a sigmoid, and the other one's called something else, right? I don't know if this was a sigmoid or he went all the way up there without anesthesia. I have no idea. TMI, TMI. Did you know this was going to be a TMI video? Listen, I'm trying to give you some practical information, and this will be doing, okay? Get over yourself. All right, so I had some type of colonoscopy. That was $140, and then the consultation was 60, and the biopsy was 20 euros, right? This does not mean that if you have these same types of things that it's going to be the cost. But in total, I paid 220 euros for the procedure to know exactly what I had done, to like what was my issue. I have been in the States for 20 years. I've been trying to figure out this issue. People would perform all these expensive experiments on me, and no one ever told me what I had. So in the last colonoscopy I had, which was in last September, the anesthesia putting me to sleep was $768 just to put me to sleep. The procedure itself was several $1,000s. Okay. So that is what I paid. I don't know if your bill would be as expensive. So please don't ask me that. Please don't ask me about any situation that's not what I had. Why would I know it? I wouldn't know how much it costs, what you have to do, anything like that. I will tell you, start off on Google and start off on the specialist that you see to see if either Portugal or whatever country you're in has doctors that are great in that field. Okay. So the great thing about Europe in general is you can get certain types of insurance that will cover you throughout Europe, right? So if you have a better doctor in, I don't know, some other part of Europe, you can fly there, go get things done as well. So again, we'll talk about all that tomorrow as to some of my friends decided to, stay here versus like flying the UK or whatever for a variety of different reasons. So what I would suggest, if you know you have a particular condition, Google the condition and check and see if the hospitals are known for it or if there's specific doctors you want to go to. Now, here's what I don't know. If I would submit this bill to my insurance company, if they would pay for it, they may. I just didn't submit it because I was so grateful that it was $200 versus several thousand. So I paid it, but maybe I sent it to my insurance company. I received my insurance through my bank. I paid €8 a month. And that is the lower tiered health care that I signed up for, but it was in the middle of a pandemic. I wasn't leaving the house anyway, so I didn't feel the need to go up in insurance. And I think really just the difference is the deductible you have to pay. But again, I paid for that one out of pocket, so that part I'm still a little unclear on as to what I'm supposed to do. And if anyone has any insight in the comments, please help and educate us all. So I hope, as graphic and TMI as that conversation was, I hope it helps somebody. I know when you are, going to another country or whatever, like the thought of going to a doctor, period, is frightening. Let alone if you have to do something in another country and the language is not your first language, okay? So it can be frightening. It was frightening for me. I'm full disclosure. So I just want to let you know that it's doable and you can come out with some answers and it's affordable and all of those things. So I hope that helps. Again, I am speaking with 3 other of my lovely friends tomorrow live, if you want to join us live. And we're going to talk about our healthcare experiences in Portugal. I wanted to share my experience here because I didn't want to take up so much time tomorrow so everybody else had time to speak. But we'd love to see you tomorrow. I will put the link in the description so you can watch us live. But if you're watching this as a recording or the date has already passed, the link to see the video will be there as well. So, that was hope that was helpful. I'm scared to see what these comments gonna look like after this is over. Okay, y'all. Until next time.